Apocalypse. I'm Pastor Paul Begley, and we have a great broadcast for you today. You know, when you take a look at the things that are happening right now in Europe with Russia, Ukraine, and the effects on the economy, or even the Great Reset that you hear talked about, is this all from biblical prophecy? The Bible says that the black horsemen of the apocalypse, the wheat and the barley, this is the breadbasket of the world. But don't touch the oil and the wine, which is grown in Israel. Is this the prophecies of the Bible? And how will it affect America and the stock market, the price of precious metals and trading? What does it all mean? We're bringing in the expert of all experts to help us understand this. Bob Kudla from TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Bob, it is great to have you here today. What's going on? What's happening? What do we do now?
You know, it's pretty amazing.
Recording
you know, last
progress.
year you and I struggled for excuse me, I got a thing popped on my screen here real quick. Give me one second.
I think I hit record it, and that's what.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Yeah, so Paul, you know, your opening monologue is really interesting. You know, last year everything was boring, but this year, man, everything is supercharged. You know, you talked about the wheat, the barley, the oats, the oil, and the, you know, there's a double entendre there, because not only does it talk about, you know, the parts of the world that you referenced, but it also talks about the poor are going to have to work all day just to eat wheat and barley. And barley was the wage of the poor. When you know, that's how you got paid, you know, back in biblical times, is you got a measure of barley. That was your daily bread. You know, it wasn't wheat. People thought, oh, people eat wheat. No. You got barley, and you made gruel half the time. But oil and the wine, that's what the rich get. And that's what we're having right now. I mean, oil keeps going up, although we got a reprieve today, is that people aren't going to be able to get to work. And the elites don't care. If you notice, they're like, well, we're still doing our transition. You know, I think it's a Marie Antoinette moment on their part. They just don't realize it. But you know, they're trying to push for this, you know, this calamity. They're trying to push for their agenda, but it's going to cause great pain for people who basically are living. You know, and you talk about the four horsemen. I always joke, well, there's the four horsemen of the economic apocalypse too, right? It's food, it's energy, it's medical, and it's rent, housing, and all of those are more than double digit in terms of inflation. And tomorrow inflation report comes out, and even the Biden administration said it's going to be high. Well, it means it's going to be high. It's going to be sky high.
Sky high.
And it's not going to
blame it. Is he going to blame it all on Russia? Is he going to say Russia caused the whole thing? Because this thing was skyrocketing before Russia ever invaded Ukraine. Yeah,
the people aren't that stupid. So, you know, there's graphs that the day he got elected is the day oil went up. That's the day we bought oil. Soon as we knew that Biden was going to get in, Trump wasn't going to get in, is the day we bought oil. And believe it or not, I closed my oil trade last week. I actually shorted it yesterday or 2 days ago for this pulled back, but we're going to pull back at $100 a barrel, and we're going to go back up. I remember you and I talking about when it was 60, I said it's going to hit 120. Well, it hit 130. That was a measured move. This wasn't like, it's not Bostradamus here, okay? So it's mathematical, and it hit the mathematical targets. Now it's going to pull back into this range we just pulled back in, and now we're going to probably grind higher, Paul, over the next months, because they have no answer to this. They're not going to try to increase production. They're doing all these stupid games like we're going to do something with Iran, or we're going to do something with Venezuela. Not going to work. Everywhere but America, we're not tapping into Canada. So that's a problem, and that's going to weave through everything. And so the alternative to that is, right, renewables and the uranium. And you and I were talking before the show started. Just within the last 10 minutes, they decided they're going to sanction the largest uranium producer in Russia. Okay, that means people around the world, you know, if you don't follow that sanction, you know, if you follow that sanction, you have to buy uranium now from Canada and the United States. You see what I'm saying? And boom. I mean, so we had all the people in uranium trade. They're very happy with me today. And gold and silver started to make their move too. So
yeah, gold's over 2,000 now. Over 2,000.
Finally, they've been dragging. Even Bitcoin had a rip today too. So there's a lot of what's called the safety trades coming into being. Look, you want things that'll hurt when you drop them on your foot, and you want to stay away from the stuff that's just been invented. You know, a lot of these companies, the S&P 500, have been invented, and a lot of them are down 60, 70%. And when prices go higher, you think about it this way. You look at your own budget. If I told you, Paul, that everything that you have to pay is going up 10%, but your wages are going to stay the same, you're going to sit down there with your wife and say, what can't we do? And you're going to start off on the things that are nice to have, and they typically be services. So you're not going to do things that are nice to have that you enjoy doing, and you're going to be focused on just doing the things that you have to survive. So you look at the industries like that and say, okay, will I really be able to travel? Will I be able to go and get that manicure? Am I going to go to the massage place or whatever it's called, or the chiropractor? You're going to cut all those things out. And the United States economy is built on services.
Yes, it is.
And it's built on nice to have services. We're a unique country that way. And that's going to it'll basically cause a rollover in employment. Even though we have shortages now, we're not going to have shortages of employment in 6 months. And in fact, just yesterday, they're starting to see a tailing off of job postings. So it's going to get very, very interesting very, very fast.
It's a great point you made. The United States used to be in the Industrial Revolution. You know, we were the manufactured country of the world. Now we're the goods and services and the luxury of the world. And your point about with the oil hitting $130 a barrel, maybe it pulls back a little bit close to 100, but it's going to grind to 150 maybe in the next 12 months. And so the poor are going to suffer greatly. Can't afford the gasoline. Again, it was at $4.25 across the nation this morning. It went up 8 cents. I've told everyone it's going to go over $5 a gallon by April 1st. That's national average. I don't know what California is going to be. Pushing 7 probably. This is going to affect prices of food, everything. This is really going to hurt. So do you see the economy then Main Street taking a little tailspin into an early recession in 2023?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's once oil gets over 4% of GDP, the price of oil, you go into a recession, and we're there.
Okay.
And so the Fed, so it's baked in the cake right now. They're calling for next quarter to have 0 GDP growth. So you go figure that out. You know, after spending trillions of dollars, not being able to grow at all, you know, because it was misspent and you know, do the right thing. And then you got, you know, Marie Antoinette, you know, Pete Buttigieg talking about, hey, if you can't afford gas, just buy an electric car. Sure, I got 70 grand in my just laying around.
Stupid. How stupid. Again, the elitists live in a utopian society. They're not in touch with the real world. And this guy should be. I know where he's from. I played high school basketball against his high school. I know where South Bend, Indiana is. That's a Rust Belt city. This guy knows better than that. It shows you they've been drinking the Kool-Aid for way too long. And it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. I mean, you're on it.
Yeah. Look, so all this stuff is coming into play. You know, I know when you try some of this stuff into, you know, biblical prophecy, is, you know, these birth pangs are starting to accelerate. You know, somebody said to me the other day, Bob, we're going from crisis to crisis. I said, yes, that's by design, you know, and they're going to keep people on their heels. But you know, when we talked before we got on, none of this stuff is a surprise. People shouldn't be surprised. Just put on your common sense hat on, and you're going to see what's coming next. You don't have
What about I just throw this in real fast, taxes. What if he had passed Build Back Better? This would have been we would have fallen off into a depression or something. But is this the new tax? High inflation on everything you buy? Is that kind of the new tax?
Yeah, look, people don't realize, you know, we have a progressive income tax. So if you're making $30,000 a year and they say, hey, we're going to make sure you get a minimum wage increase. Now you're making $40,000 a year. What they don't tell you, you're in a higher tax bracket now. So the more you make, the more you pay per dollar earned. And the other thing they don't tell you is that all your subsidies are going to go away. Yeah. So a lot of these people that are making this kind of money, like, I don't want any more hours, because look, they're not stupid. They know it's going to happen. Look, and Biden, he can't force the issue anymore. So he's going to get this inflation, which is going to cause higher taxes on the poor people. The Republicans don't care, because I don't mean to be callous here. I'm just going to speak truly politically. The Republicans don't care because that's not their base.
Right.
Biden tries to then add more sweetness to the poor. The Republicans aren't going to support it. And so they got a situation now where the guy they brought in to champion their cause is the guy that's actually going to cause them their doom.
Right.
It's just an amazing thing that if people just took a deep breath, when's the last time a Democrat has done anything for you? There's always something to you. And, and it takes beating people upside the head. Can't you see this? And that's what's going to happen. So the government's loving this because they're going to get higher tax revenues in, and they're going to pay less in the subsidies. Look, whatever you call, we have covered California out here. I don't know, whatever you call the subsidies for the health care, right? If you make over $65,000 a year as a family, you don't get any subsidies anymore. Well, it doesn't take much for wages to drive up to that. Right now, people, unless you're making a minimum wage job, you're already $25, $30 an hour anywhere you really work. And so all those subsidies are going to go away. So everybody's going to be paying high. And you're talking about $18,000 to $20,000 annual health care costs. Look, I pay $21,000 a year. I'm a 61-year-old family with a still child at home that I have. So I'm paying max. I'm on max burn, and I have no subsidy. So so it's that's a lot of money for people. And if you're making $60,000 a year and you're walking out $20,000 for your health care, that doesn't even include the $8,000 that you might be on the hook for services that aren't covered. So all that stuff.
And if something goes wrong, here comes the $10,000, $12,000 deductible out of pocket.
Exactly. Yeah, and like my daughter, she's 21 now. She just graduated from school. She'll be, she has a job. She'll be leaving soon. I'm in no rush for her to go. Daddy doesn't want her to leave quite yet.
Right.
But guys, get out of here. You can stay home, honey, till you're 25. And but she was checking out rents for friends, and 2-bedroom places where I live are $3,000 a month, minimum. And she's like saying, how do we afford that, Dad? I said, you don't, and so that's going to be problematic for people, because now you're going to layer on costs. So you're going to start seeing a lot of stress in the rental markets again, too, Paul.
It's really going to hurt. Folks, it's Bob Kudla with us from TradeGeniusAcademy.com, TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Now, you can call Bob also at 1-800-949-1408. That's 1-800-949-1408, because you might say, okay, the doom, the gloom, the war in Russia, everything's going on. How do you make money in an environment like this? And Bob, that's what's so amazing about Trade Genius is you're able to show people how to read the market, read the weather, read the political climate, read everything happening, and where are the golden nuggets in this economy. So help us understand, Bob, what you've been doing and what we should look for.
Yeah, so excuse me. So our system is a series of two pretty effective algorithms in terms of looking at ranges and looking at momentum. And so we couple that with, my background's business development, strategic planning, and acquisition. So that's kind of my gift, looking out into the future and trying to discern what's going to be a buyer or a liar. But this is actually easy. When a Democrat gets in office, certain things happen. So they always try to inflate, and they always try to overspend. So we knew that energy was going to be good. And with energy, we knew that there was going to be an upcycle in uranium. And we knew at some point we're going to get these moves in gold and silver. What we didn't know that we're going to have a war with Russia. But once we we saw the war drum start to pound, rumors of war, right? So we just said, well, what does Russia have that's a marginal producer? So, they had a marginal producer of wheat, platinum, palladium, oil, natural gas, fertilizer, steel. And we're like saying, okay, we want to be, nickel. We want to be in these spaces. So we started buying those stocks as our momentum indicators start saying, hey, take the trade, take the trade, take the trade. And then when this war happened, we were positioned. And so a lot of people are suffering right now. We're probably having our best start of a year ever a trade genius. I mean, people are making money like they didn't think they could make. In fact, I threw you some attaboys out there. Some people are saying, Bob, this is the most money I've ever made, because we knew this is where you needed to be. And we knew the market in general was going to suffer. So people that are just in the market, they're like saying, I don't see what Bob's talking about. But if you're in the stuff that we're in, then you're doing really well. And this party's not ending. It's just going to keep shifting. So at some point, the oil trade's going to calm down. And then, gold and silver are going to go. Okay, that kind of moment. And then next year, going into the fall, food prices are going to be out of control. So food stocks are going to be where you want to buy. If you want to protect yourself from food inflation, buy Kroger. Okay, if you think farmland's going to be good, buy FPI. They're the biggest farmland public company in the United States. So, and there's people who produce, like Hormel, they produce the pork products. So there's companies that you can buy to help you with the inflation.
And they should start buying pretty well close to now, shouldn't they? I mean,
yeah,
it's going to go up.
Yeah. I don't think people realize how much it's going to go up. They think it's gone up a lot now. Hold your breath. Okay.
How does Ukraine? Did you also, now that the war has started, have you studied Ukraine, and what should you buy that maybe Ukraine?
Well, Ukraine's kind of a mini Russia in a sense, but the two things that they produce, and also semiconductor chips. Russia produces a certain chip. They produce the materials for a certain chip. So, but Ukraine is basically their wheat and their conduit for natural gas, but mostly affects Europe. And they're also they're one of the big, large, like 30% of the steel production is Russia and Ukraine together. So it's just a nightmare. And Belarus is one of the largest producers of fertilizer in the world. So this whole thing was, I don't know if these guys really thought it through, but now we got a mess on our hands. And guess what? Stuff has to get through Kazakhstan into there. So that's uranium, right?
Yep.
And you got Turkey sitting there going, hey, we control the Bosphorus Straits now.
Yep.
So do we throw a toll on there? And if you notice, Hungary and I forget the other country in Europe, Serbia, both closed exports to their grains. So you're going to start seeing more and more of that, countries saying, hey, we're not going to export food because our people.
So if they don't export, and if it isn't being grown in Ukraine this year, because who can grow a field of grain when they're bombing you?
Yeah.
And people start hoarding. The ones who have it kind of hoard it back because they can't afford. U.S. prices and global prices will go out the roof. And let me ask you this question: what about Europe? I mean, is there any stock in the U.S. Dow Jones? Is there any companies that supply the energy in Europe? Are they public in the U.S. stock exchange?
Yeah, so we bought a company called Southwest Energy. They're a natural gas producer. And there's also a company that I'll get it to you for next time we talk. It's the company that provides liquefied natural gas. We don't own that one, but we own Southwest Energy, because natural gas in the U.S. is like 1/6 the price it is in Europe. So there's an arbitrage play going on here. So we're gonna sell as much natural gas they possibly can. They'll liquefy it, freeze it, and send it over to Europe. So Southwestern Energy is going to be a good play for quite a long time. And then there's the producer of the liquefied natural gas. I forget the stock symbol, but I'll get to you next time we talk. And and they pay a nice dividend too. So that's another way in which you can play it. And this is going to be good for next couple months. Even if this war ends with Russia, damage has been done. The damage has been.
It's been done already as far as the economic damage, other than the price of food going sky high. Now, the human toll, the suffering, the casualty of the civilians. And there's rumors, I mean, there's a weird narrative that's on the internet right now that this is just media, that this is Hollywood, weird conspiracy that people are throwing out that people aren't really dying out there. I have to tell you, we have helped get people out of Ukraine to Poland, into Hungary. I'm talking with ministries all over the world. It is atrocities of human disaster going on. And so somehow I've just got to stand up, and I'm going to do it when I go on television tomorrow. I'm just going to make sure people know that don't buy in the lie that there isn't human suffering going on in Ukraine. And I don't know do you think Putin goes on and takes Moldova Do you see him continuing on? And does he got his eye on the Middle East oil? Is he got his eye on that too?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. And I'll make one point that you just mentioned. So our church, we sponsor an orphanage in Ukraine. And so we have cameras there. So we know they already bombed it. And nobody got hurt. The kids were already gone, wherever they moved them. But yeah, so it's it's real. I think a lot of people are reacting to, we can't see anything happening. It's the only televised war that's not televised. It's kind of weird that way. I think that's what makes throwing people off. Yeah, I don't know Putin's end game here, but we do have a roadmap with the Bible. So I don't know if Moldova is he already has troops in there. So I'm not sure if they're really kind of irrelevant. But yeah, I could see Putin doing a Hail Mary and pivoting in and taking out Israel, or try to take out Israel. And so yeah, and we were talking before too. They're doing all of a sudden Russia has increased a lot of flights. They increased their Israel had to go in there and bomb a couple of SAM sites around Damascus. So, but Russia's now running jets across that demilitarized zone next to the Golan. So, things are getting pretty interesting in that area. I'm just trying to figure out how he's going to be able to move, have the troop movement to go down there. But, one thing for sure is that Russia's not sending their best stuff into Ukraine. So we have to kind of keep our eye on what they're going to do. And I don't know how they're going to take the spoil. They don't have the troops. Maybe it's going to be some sort of strategic attack that God thwarts that way. I don't think I have to reread Ezekiel 38 to see if I can discern how it's going to be. But they talk about taking a spoil, so it has to be they're going to try to bomb the oil fields in the Gulf and go through Israel and harm the United States that way. A lot of people don't realize a lot of our intellectual property for the electronic technical industry is in Israel. So. And Russia wants to make sure people buy their oil. They can take out the Saudi oil fields, and then you need Russian oil. So it's going to be interesting.
And you still got the wild card, China. I mean, what's China doing? They're sitting back very quietly, patting Putin on the back and staring down Taiwan. I mean, do you see the Pacific, South Pacific? Do you see this as a ticking time bomb? Are we on the brink of World War III, possibly?
No, I don't think China's going to do anything. I think they're seeing that Russia's having a bit of a hard time here. And they saw the West react pretty violently economically to them. And we started threatening China now by saying, hey, look, if you're going to play go-between Russian exports and the world, we have no problem sanctioning any company in China that does so. And so we're happy to cut you off too. And so the Chinese are probably sitting back there saying, hey, and they've already lost their Silk Road through Belarus and Poland. They stopped those trains. So, yeah, so, and that's a very easy thing to do, saying, hey, we'll blow up those tracks in Belarus. You won't be able to get your stuff in here. So it's going to be, to me, I think China's just sitting back, seeing how this goes. I think China will probably tap on Russia's shoulder and say, hey, back off a little bit. And maybe that's what happens. Maybe everything gets calm and Putin plans his next move. Look, he stated that he wants to recreate the Russian Empire, not the Soviet Union. There's a big difference. That's why he's not interested in Kazakhstan too much. But Finland got taken from him, and so I think he wants to push right up against the borders of Eastern Europe, and so we'll see what happens. Going to be interesting.
Very well. Okay, folks, TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Go to www.TradeGeniusAcademy.com. They're having a great special, St. Patrick's Day special, or at least through the 13th of March, 40% off. Got great programs. Bob, tell them about the programs you have. That if people really need to understand how to get involved, get in control of their own destiny by learning how to trade and get started slow, you can teach them.
Yeah, so we have 7 bundles. We trade stocks, we trade cryptos. We have a VIP room where we can help you trade futures and options and have like real-time conversations like we're having. And then what we did was those are bundles, 65% off, already pre-discounted. And those are good till the 13th. And then also we have use promo code Patrick for 40% off for anything that's not bundled in the store. And what we charge for the service is nothing to compare to what you get out of it. And at any rate, what you pay for is even if you don't take any of my trades, we'll definitely get you on the right side of your portfolio if you're managing yourself, or you're trying to guide your financial advisor, who a lot of these guys are programmatic and they have no clue. So, they're see dip by dip. And this world is going to change in a way I think few people perceive.
Do you see, as we go forward here, again, folks, TradeGeniusAcademy.com, www.tradegeniusacademy.com, or pick up the phone and call 1-800-949-1408. Let Bob help you. And that's what I love about Bob. He studies the weather. He studies the political climate. He studies the economic, what's happening in different parts of the world. How does it affect the overall commodities, the energies, the oil, all the different things that are happening. And so, Bob, right now, as you see things that are shaping up, do you see any difference? Let's say in the midterms coming, there's a red wave. Does that really matter? Are we still going to be where we're at right now?
I think it'll kill the Biden agenda, and we may see a rollback the other way on some things. So not until we get the Biden out of office are we going to be able to do too much. So, but
that's a lot of damage. That's a lot of 3 more years of damage. Especially, do you see everybody talks about the Great Reset? Okay, is this Russia oil? If it spirals wrong, could the dollar suffer greatly? Could there be a total change in currencies, or is the world going to shut Russia out of the currency?
Well, Russia's shutting themselves out. Look, the dollar's going to go up, so it's going to be Bitcoin, gold, dollar. Those are the safe havens, and they're going to do fine over time. The dollar is not going to be knocked out until the Antichrist takes over and puts his currency in. So people just need to relax. Bitcoin's not the Antichrist too, so people need to relax about that. I don't think the Antichrist wants a decentralized, encrypted, pseudonymous coin. He's going to have a coin on there called me, okay?
Yeah.
and you
big AC, right? The big AC. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the golden boy, and so don't worry about Bitcoin being the tool of the Antichrist, right? So, we have enough trouble with the dollar being Babylon, all right? So we don't need to worry about the Antichrist just yet. No. But look, it's so funny because you talk about the Bible. I mean, it's an awesome macro tool for people too. I'm speaking it from even if you don't believe the Bible, read the Bible. It's telling you the future. It's amazing. It's where things are going. Stuff I talked about 20 years ago. People are like, how did you know this stuff? I'm like, I'll read the book of Revelation. We talk about digital currency, book of Revelation. Talk about Marx, biblical. Book of Revelation. We talk about worldwide communication. Who would have foreseen? I'm sitting to go, how does the whole world see the 2 witnesses die and rise up again? Well, everybody has one of these.
We're all going to see it. We're going to see it.
Elon Musk did Starlink. So I mean, so people just if you want a playbook, you want to see what's happening. Hey, you want why food prices going up? Read the 4 Horsemen, right? Yep. Why do you think we just had a pandemic? Okay, read the 4 Horsemen. It just boggles my mind that people say they don't believe. I just sit there going, oh my gosh, how could you not?
The 4 Horsemen. Look at the white horse. That's the global one world government trying to take over. Look at the red horse. Takes peace from the earth. What is Putin doing? He's threatening everyone with a nuke, and everybody's scared. Then you got the black horse, the wheat and the barley, the oil and the wine. And then here comes the pandemic and the plagues and the things, the pale horse. You're exactly right. The Bible really does set the course for you. It's the truth. Yeah. And all we have to do is have spiritual eyes to understand and just to look. And it'll come to you.
Pray to Holy Spirit that opens people's hearts. But, and look at the chimeras. I mean, look at all those biolabs. I mean, hey, look, the United States is not clean on this stuff either, okay? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're knee deep with China on this pandemic stuff. And, and if you believe out there that we have biolabs in Ukraine, well, what are they doing there? Because they're trying to get away from our oversight. And China, China and those guys are working on chimeras, right? So right. I always think about those beasts coming out of the Euphrates. If someone comes after you with a tail, you missed the boat you missed the Noah's Ark, okay?
Yep. All right. Well, Israel, hang on one second. Bob, again, folks, tradegeniusacademy.com. That's www.tradegeniusacademy.com. Go find out about these 40% special he's running right now through the 13th of March, the St. Patrick's Day special. Save 40% off these bundles and let Bob help you. Bob doesn't just hand out fish. He teaches people how to fish. This is how you can get in control of your own destiny. And by being you, seeing what's happening. I hate sitting back and someone else controlling whether you eat or not, whether you live or not. Everyone would rather have the ability to make that decision themselves and at least run that ship themselves. And you can do that for them, Bob, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, look, we give you tools that will last you the rest of your life. And, and look, we got to walk around with lamps on our feet. So we're here until we're not. So you have to make sure that you're positioned to take care of your families.
Amen. Until the Lord comes to get us, folks, and rapture us out of here, we got to occupy. And Trade Genius Academy will be right here with you to help occupy you along the way. So, Bob, hey, this was a great interview. It's a great information. And folks, check it out. Seriously, go to tradegeniusacademy.com.
I want to thank all my partners for standing with me, for helping us in the mission of leading people to Jesus Christ, for winning souls into the kingdom. Our live broadcast online, we're seeing 25, 30 souls every day accepting Christ as their Savior. And right here on this television broadcast, so many have come to Jesus Christ. We couldn't do it without you, but we can do all things with Christ. So thank you again for being our partners. God bless all of you.